Well, let's start with your boys, shall we? 2-1 away at Everton. A little bit more aggression today. A little bit more tempo today. Ollie Watkins as well. Nice away victory on against the side that you would think that should be doing better than they are, but Everton just for some reason don't turn up for big matches. I don't know what's up with them.
Yeah, I think the performance was better from Aston Villa. Ross Barkley for me was the best I've seen him in his last 10 appearances. He looked back to his old self, getting on the ball, making things happen. Ollie Watkins is the usual energetic. He's a pest for defenders, and he deserved his goal tonight. And also, I feel like the back four was very good. You know, there was a lot of winners and losers today for players that are trying to get into the England squad. Gareth Southgate was there tonight watching the game. Watkins, Mings, Konsa, Cash, they've all done themselves a lot of favours. But if you're Holgate and Godfrey, I mean, you're not doing yourself no favours with the England manager watching.
I know that you're licking your lips at this, right? Because we've got we'll kick off the show with an Evertonian, shall we? Because Paul McAllister's waiting to talk to us from the Toffee Blues podcast. Paul, welcome to the show. How are you, mate?
I'm okay, boys. I'm not as happy as Gabby is after watching that then, but I'm okay overall. I hope you boys are as well.
Yeah, we are, mate. Thank you very much for giving up a bit of time to come and join us. I just mentioned there in the preamble with Gabby, Everton. I don't know what it is. You've got a lot of good players there. But when the big games come, when you need to put in a bit of a performance, especially at home, for some reason it just lacks a little bit. It's like a leadership thing or a senior player thing. I don't know what it is. You obviously know a lot more about this, Paul. What is it? Why are you not turning up for the bigger matches?
Well, you say that we've got a lot of good players there, but I wouldn't say I necessarily agree with that. I think we've got a lot of players people who don't watch Everton every single week, like Evertonians do, think are good players who aren't a lot of time or not good over a long stretch of a season.
So who are you singling out there with that then? Who would you refer to?
I could single out quite a few for you. Alex Iwobi, I don't think is a top-half Premier League footballer. If he was, then he would still be at Arsenal for my money. Gylfi Sigurdsson turns up for 5 or 6 games a season and is very poor for 25 to 30. Fabian Delph, I know he's been unlucky with injuries, but there is a perception amongst Evertonians that's very, very negative about Fabian Delph. I mean, I don't know the fella personally, so I don't want to go in on him too hard, but if you find me one Evertonian who's got anything positive to say about Fabian Delph, then you can have my bank card and my PIN number. Who else is there? Bernard has not really done anything in the 2 or 3 seasons he's been here. He doesn't move the needle for me. Calvert-Lewin, who I like, but he goes on long stretches of games where he doesn't score enough. So there's a lot of players in the team who I think people think are good players and can maybe kick Everton on towards the top 8 and perhaps further than that. But they're absolutely not capable of it. And there's a big clear-out needed in the summer again if Everton are going to go to the places that Carlo Ancelotti wants to take them.
What do you reckon?
It was quite strange. Yeah, it was quite strange watching the game tonight because you'd think Everton really want to get into Europe. You know, they've had such a good season, especially the start of the season. But tonight it was just, I don't know, Richarlison didn't seem himself. Calvert-Lewin didn't. Gomez was trying cross-field balls with his weaker foot and giving it away. You know, it seemed like they thought it'd be an easy game. Did you get that impression?
It's been a strange season for everybody at home. Nearly every team's struggling to put a run of form together at their own ground, but this season's been so bad for Everton because, well, one, we've had injuries and we haven't been able to play our best, or what is consensus, our best 11 for many times, but a lot of the players we come in and hope can do a job here and there are just not capable of it, like the lads have just mentioned. And I don't know whether it's the way Ancelotti sets us up at home. It works better away because I at times think we have the look of a bit of an old school Italian side that you saw in the 90s and the 2000s where we're happy to just kind of sit back and absorb pressure and maybe try and nip one off a set piece and just kind of focus on doing the basics right, which we don't always manage if you look at Mason Holgate tonight. But it just seems like when we go forward, there's not a lot of creativity and there's not a lot of pace unless a player like Richarlison is having one of his good days and things like that. So there's just a big makeover needed, and there's a lot of players who, over the course of this season, and they've let down the last manager as well, have shown that they're just not going to kick Everton on. And I think Evertonians have, at the point now where we've accepted if things stay the way they are, it's never going to get any better.
I mean, we were speaking pre-show, weren't we, Gabby, about Josh King? And they were talking about keeping him on for next season. What's the situation there? Because I've not seen him too much. I haven't seen him play for you too much.
I don't know. Myself, a lot of Evertonians are wondering what's gone on there. I mean, maybe they've seen something in training that they don't like, or maybe just he's been a bit unlucky. I know he could have started a few weeks ago when we were away at Brighton, and then he picked up a late injury, so that he missed his chance there. But no, I agree with you. It doesn't look like he's going to be staying next season, does it? Because you'd think he'd have got more minutes than he has done. He hasn't started for us in a single game yet, and I think the most amount of minutes he's had on the pitch in a game he's come off the bench is about 20 minutes, which is not a lot of time to make a big impact, is it? So I can only assume they've had a look behind the scenes in training and just decided they don't fancy him, or there's something that's happened. I don't know, but I'm like you. I don't expect to see Joshua King at Everton next season.
You're crying out, aren't you, for like a couple of wingers who can really get at people, and like a left-footed winger playing on the right with pace, who can get past people and come inside, put Coleman through. I just feel like you are lacking that creativity. Sigurdsson, he's done okay, hasn't he? But he hasn't got the legs anymore. I really feel that that's something that Ancelotti will need to get in the summer.
That's the word you just used there, Gabby. We need pace in the side, and we just haven't got enough of it. Sigurdsson hasn't got the legs. Gomez hasn't got the legs. Other midfielders we've got, like Decore has got the legs, but he's been injured, and we've missed him massively over the last month or so. Yeah. But other wingers that we've got, like Bernard's not exactly rapid, Iwobi's not particularly rapid either. We're just missing so much pace in the wide areas, and a lot of the players we've got are just too similar. They're pretty footballers. They've got ability when they've got time to get their heads up, but if you swarm them quickly, then they just kind of turn backwards and quickly run out of ideas.
Yeah. I can hear your disappointment, Paul. Listen, thanks for joining us on the show, mate. Much appreciated,
Thanks,
pal.
mate.
No problem, boys. You take care.
And you, mate. Paul McAllister there, Toffee Blues podcast. Make sure you're checking those guys out. It seems like there's a mentality thing as well at Everton. You know what I mean? When you put it on them a little bit, like today, Villa were a bit more aggressive. There were a bit more tempo to them, and Everton didn't seem to be able to deal with that gap.
Yeah, but that's how he should be, though. Because if I'm Dean Smith before the game, I'm saying to
them,
get about Richarlison, get about him. He doesn't like being kicked. Calvert-Lewin, stay tight to him. He was the only threat, really, Calvert-Lewin, with a bit of movement for a header that was saved and then his goal. But apart from that, you look at that team, there's nothing to be scared of at all, Cats. I mean, any team that plays Everton now at the end of the season, you're not scared with that lineup tonight.